living your best life is so important and you're in charge. Like you have the ability to make changes. Could they be hard? Absolutely. But if you're not waking up every morning and living in a life that's bringing you joy, do you have problems or challenges? Absolutely. But how are you addressing them? Are you
Mm,
taking the time to think about the 4, 5 things that you're grateful for in the morning and grateful for at night before you put your head on the pillow? Try it. Yeah, try it. If you don't do it, you should do it because it does make a shift. And that's what
oh,
it's all about. Live your best life.
Hey, everybody, welcome to my show. My name is Tiffany, and this is Unveiling Journeys. I have an amazing guest for you today. I'm super excited to go into that, but just a quick second about me. I love hanging out with cool people. I love hanging out with interesting people. I love hanging out with new friends. And quite honestly, I get to do that a lot whenever I go to networking events. And what ends up happening is I'm like, wow, can I spend time with you? And I put people on my calendar for 30 minutes. And I love just saying, hey, who are you? Who do you need to know? And I get to hear their whole story. And I end up finding out why they're so darn interesting, what they're doing in their profession, and whether they've built a company or they're doing really phenomenal other things. And I end up asking a question like, hey, how do I get to know more cool people like you? And that has led to just an abundance. A snowball turned into a massive avalanche of people that I get now to know. And that's why the podcast was born. Someone said, Tiff, you should interview all these cool people. And here we are. I think I'm like 160 episodes in, and I cannot wait to just get to know more cool people. And this is my amazing way to give back because I want to tell the world about them. They've invented something neat. They're doing something incredible, phenomenal with their life, and they're sharing it with so many people, creating a massive ripple of this small, medium business owner impact that I believe carries the backbone of America and the world at this point. And I just can't shout loud enough about it. So with that, you guys get to meet some of the cool people that I've met, and I want you to get to know them and follow them also. So with that, I'm going to introduce my guest that we have today. Lisa-Marie, welcome. We met, of course, through the power of networking. An incredible person put us together in the same room. And this has been a minute in the making because we had to reschedule a few times. So it means we even more than ever, we were supposed to be meeting today. Do me a favor, tell me a little bit about you and what you're doing right now.
Tiffany, thank you. You're absolutely right. I figured this is going to be amazing because we had to keep pushing it off, pushing it off. So good things come to those who wait, right?
Yep.
So I am just, gosh, I'm just a person navigating this crazy world like so many of you are probably listening right now. And I absolutely agree. I love meeting new people and I love to get to know their heart and the things that they love to do and tell the stories because your stories will impact so many others and we can live vicariously through others sometimes, or we can listen to their ups or their downs and learn from that. But for me, oh gosh, the most important thing is I love God. I love Jesus. And that's the thing that sits at the top of everything. And below that, right below that is my family. So my husband and I are just so thankful that we have 4 amazing children. And from those kids, we have 4 amazing in-laws. And from them, we have 9 amazing grandchildren. And to know that, we reach a certain age and it's like, oh my goodness, this is just so much fun. And with all the things that I do, and I know that we've spoken before, and to know that there's a path for those who love the consistency of a 9 to 5. And I love that about people, but there's a path for those who don't care what they're doing because they know something else is around the corner. And I love those people too. And I kind of fit in that category more than anybody else. And so if, I'm not busy, I'll find something to keep me busy. My careers over the time of raising my family, because clearly that was what's most important. I've been from a fitness instructor and I still currently do that since 1989. So
No way.
probably longer than you are old.
No,
And
not
to
quite, but there.
but close, right?
Yeah.
But from there to being in direct sales companies and being very successful actually with those and rolling my eyes because I never thought I would be because you just hear the stories, but had a really great experience and just have been coaching all of my life and figure skater for many years when I was younger and on the ice for 20 hours a week. And that was great and traveled and just, through all of it, just having so much love for family and being able to just enjoy good life. And good life is defined by everybody differently. And that's my family first. So, yeah, it's kind of a little bit about me.
Yeah, and tell me what you're doing currently.
So, currently, it's funny you say that because when 2020 hit, I had been in my direct sales company and, had ranked in the top 0.5% of the company and had all these accolades and stage walks and free cars and all the things that come along with that. And when COVID hit, it was really a turning point for so many people. And at the time, I had a 4,200 square foot studio where we were training other consultants in the business and just having events all the time and traveling and coaching and teaching other women how to be successful. Well, when that kind of hit us, it's like, oh my goodness, we are a face to face company. What do we do now? We can't take the risk of having nobody show up and have that bill, that rent every month. So we decided to let that studio go. And
Huh.
I took a sailor, and a sailor is really just an exhale, a step back and a rest. And I looked at my whole situation. And at that time, the four of our kids were deciding to get married within 5 years. Talk about a pay decrease. And
Oh, yeah.
then start having babies. And I wanted to be around for all the celebrations that go with that. And not to say I wasn't before, but to know that I didn't have to travel and I didn't have to, pick up and send myself away for 4 or 5 weeks out of the month, or not of the month, out of the schedule that I had. So I took a step back and I thought, okay, what next? What's next? So then we had a tragedy happen in our family. It was very, very sad. And with that tragedy and we lost a grandson, which was really, really awful. And I just, my heart breaks and I could cry thinking about it. But I looked at my daughter who had that loss, and her son was only 2.5 months old, and she was
Mm.
a mess and didn't want to sit home. And, they're very, very strong Christian family. So to know that they pulled together, her and her husband and their little toddler at the time, and I didn't want to leave her side and I chose not to. So she wanted to get back to her career, which was a graphic designer. And she went over to talk to one of her clients. And I asked her when I drove with her, well, I said, what does she do? And she said, well, she helps people get out of debt. And I thought, oh, interesting. And, she was a wonderful entrepreneurial mindset woman. And the two of us spoke. And she said, I'm always looking for people to jump on board and work with me. And I thought, oh, okay. So I did. I learned so much in that first year. And I loved it because it was helping people in an ugly world.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it's an ugly
Yeah.
world. People in
Hmm.
debt, and 78% of people, I won't say Americans, but people are in debt. And that's
Hmm.
terrible. Great for the companies because that's the way they make their money. But
Yep.
for the normal average person who's just trying to put food on the table and give themselves the American dream, it's really very challenging. So I'm very humbled that people trust me with that conversation.
Yeah.
And, we can go down different roads, but there's things that they can do that they may not be aware of. And similar to you, Tiffany, you have so many tools in your toolbox. And it's great to be able to just lock arms with somebody and show them, look, you can do this and give them hope. So that's
I
kind of
love
where I
that.
am right now with what I'm doing. I do have more tools in my toolbox over the few years that I've been learning. So that's exciting. It's not one fits all. And now I just recently, as you meet a certain age, you don't know this yet, but the hormones do some funny things. And, the needles on scales, for example, go, but they don't go in the right direction. So
Oh, no.
I'm on a huge health journey right now. So that's been exciting. So yeah, that's where I am today.
I love that you get to help a lot, and especially right now in times like things are tight, things cost more than they've ever cost. And then if you do get into debt, it's like you can't even get back out of it. I've been there, done that. And I see it as a real estate investor. You get into debt to go into what you do because they tell you it's cool. And then it's like highs and lows from there. So I get 100% of that. And then just to watch my friends struggle that we're supposed to like go to college and get a job and then do the right thing. And they're like, gosh, I can't even pay my bills. I'm like, well, you did everything right that we were told what to do. How do you figure this out? And it's, I think, all those little missing pieces for the rest of it. I'm so glad that there's people like you that have figured out how to be able to coach people through living debt free, which is incredible.
Right.
I'm a big
They don't,
fan.
yeah, they don't really show you that side of it. They show you, I'm in college now and how many offers you get in the mailbox. Like you can apply for this college, I mean, for this credit card as a college student. But
Yeah,
that should be wrong. Like that
it
should
should
not
be.
be
You know,
available.
what's crazy is I got my first credit card from somebody who gave me a free t-shirt because I was like 2 days into 18 and they're like, "You qualify, we'll give you a credit card." And that thing broke me at 18 because it was like, I owe this money. I mean, it's a bummer that I didn't get a chance to learn that in my raising up, but now I feel like, well, I don't want my kids to get stuck in that trap. And then also the college debt, like, gosh, what if I had gone to a different college to save money and considered to start out not in a hole type of a
Mhm.
thing. But I want to hear more about your whole journey because I know we skimmed it, but I want to tell the whole thing. Um, let's start from the beginning because let's unveil this. Where are you from? And like what did you think you were gonna be growing up, or what'd you go to school for and like first jobs? It's a loaded question, but I know you got plenty of time to cover it.
Okay. Well, so back in 1902, that's like really, that's what it feels like sometimes, but no,
Yeah.
not quite that far back. But really when I grew up, I worked with a dad. My and my mom, they worked together. My dad was a firefighter, and my mother so was a firefighter up in Rhode Island, which is where I'm from. Big family, big Italian family up there. Think of all the Italian visions that you have. Like that's it. He was a firefighter, but because you're a firefighter and the seasons are what they are, summer, winter, fall, spring, he also built swimming pools. He plowed snow. He was a go-getter. He still
Yeah.
is a go-getter in his 80s. And so because of all the things he did, his kids, my son, my brother and I would tag along.
Mm.
My brother would dig swimming pool holes with a big backhoe at the age of 6. He
Oh
was,
my gosh.
moving those big machinery. I was this vermiculite is what they would make the pools out of, which was like the hopper and everything where they would, spread it down there. So, 5-gallon buckets or 10-gallon buckets in each arm, carrying the, uh, the material back and forth. So we worked with him. So we really gained a great work ethic from our dad. And he was the best. Like we would just have fun with him and all this work and crew people. So to build that really great work ethic and then to have so much fun, we would travel, we would have a boat, go to Martha's Vineyard, go to Block Island. The summers were fun. He would work at the firefighter as a firefighter 4 days a week, and he would have 4 off. So
Wow.
that left lots of opportunity for him to work and to play. So we worked hard, but we played hard. We played hard too. Fast forward to the things that I did as a youngster in the Rhode Island area. Again, I taught fitness classes as a young woman and cleaned houses. And I went to school to be a graphic designer and went and worked for an advertising agency in the little city of Providence, Rhode Island, and worked with them for a while. This is a funny thing because you're in a big corporate building. It was big for Rhode Island. And so we were looking at all these people getting laid off. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so they called me into and I was they call an assistant art director at the time and fresh out of college at the time. And they called me into the office. And here is my boss with his feet up on the desk. You can imagine it with, leaning back in the chair. And he says,
Yeah.
I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. And I was like, okay. And so he said, well, the good news is we're giving you 2 weeks of severance pay. And I was like, that's good. The bad news is we're laying you off. And I said, really? That's the best news I've heard all day. He was so taken aback. He looked at me, he said, wait, what? Like you're the best news you've heard all day? And I was like, yes, Mike, I've always wanted to start my own business. And now that you're going to pay me for 2 weeks and you're going to give me that severance and you're laying me off, I'm going to start my business now. So sure enough,
Yeah.
I did. And I started as a graphic designer and I worked as a freelancer. And, this is
Oh,
a very, very different conversation than we're talking now, like AI, you just put something together. No,
yeah,
I was
yeah. This is
physically doing it
legitimate work.
myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Call the typographer, do it all by hand. Like computers were not what they are today. So that was exciting. So I did. I started my own business. I worked for some great clients. I worked with Hasbro and I did some of their work with their marketing and their advertising with them. And it was awesome. And then one of my biggest clients, she and I were pregnant. I was pregnant with my third. She was pregnant with her first. We looked at each other and she said, I think I'm going to retire. And I said, I think I am too. So we both stopped working, raised our families for a few years. I continued to teach fitness classes because that's like inside of me. Can't not do that. And yeah, then my husband and I, we started, dating and then got married and had the 4 kids. And I'm kind of jumping around here a little
That's
bit.
okay.
And that, yeah, right. It's like, wait a minute, put that in a timeline. So we moved into a few homes. We built a few homes and then decided to move to Florida because he retired when he was 40 years old.
Oh,
My
wow.
husband, can you believe it?
Yeah,
He
that's
worked
cool.
for an air conditioning company and he said, when I'm 40, I'm done. I'm like, okay. So he did. He finished. We moved to Florida because when you retire in Rhode Island, like that's in the bylaws, you have to move to
Yeah,
Florida.
pretty much. Anywhere
So,
north, right?
yeah, you got to go south, north, go south all the time. And so we started to just, establish ourselves here, built a nice home down here. And, the kids were the 4 of them. So we had a nice home for them. And I still taught fitness classes at the time. So not more. I'm trying to think if I did anything. Oh, yeah, of course. I was in the direct sales company just 3 years after we started living here and excelled very quickly because I think that's just the nature of this beast, and had a great time with that. Like I said, traveled, did all the things, and like I said, in 2020, that's when we took a step back and the kids were starting
Wow.
their lives. And so currently, right now, with what I'm doing, all 4 of our kids, and I say this with such humble heart because I'm so thankful that they're so close. We moved from our bigger home into a right-sized home, I say, because we didn't need all that space anymore. And where our home is right now, our 4 kids literally live 5 miles, 5 miles, 5 miles, and 5 miles in a radius around us. So
Yeah.
the 9 grandbabies are at, close proximity. I'm always on the phone with who can I babysit for or who needs me to babysit. My husband and I are always there for the kids and we just have a really, really great life. It's a lot of fun. And my parents, they live just 1 mile from me,
Oh, wow.
1.7 miles away.
That's
Yes.
incredible. Because
Yeah.
they had
So
to move
it's
south too.
awesome. They did too. They didn't want to. And the reason we moved south was because
Yeah.
all of my life, I heard my parents say, or my dad mainly, one day we're going to move to Florida. And I thought, ooh, I want to go where I want to go. I don't want to go where you want to go. So we did. We came down, looked around, and the rest was history. And then they came down 2 years later. So
Oh
yes.
my gosh, that's incredible. What part of Florida are you in now?
So we are Bradenton, Sarasota. We're right in the
It's
Lakewood Ranch area.
like, if I had
We
to move back to Florida, that's exactly where I would go.
we
It's, like,
live
stunning.
paradise, paradise. We drive around
Yeah,
and we're like, pinch me, pinch me. Yeah,
it
it's
is. It is.
very,
It's
very
perfect.
populated though. There's a lot of people here now. Wasn't like
It's
that
worth it
when we
though.
moved.
I feel like I'm in
Absolutely.
a populated city in California and it's not worth it. It's like I don't have everything Florida has, but the family is where it's important. So that's where our stop in
Absolutely.
life. But this is so fun to hear like how like um some of the influential pieces of really it just being buried within you of like, okay, my parents taught me this, right? But also the go-getterness in yourself and then to be able to dust yourself back off and have this like gleaming look of it, like, "This is the best day ever," just to always have that positive outlook, makes me think this is so perfect for you to be that hopeful person to be in the career that you're in now. What did that look like whenever you decided to step into the role that you're in now with your company to help people live debt free? Like, just transitioning to that, was this just another step, or was this like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw my whole self in?" Like, tell me a little bit more about like, your journey to start this company you're doing right now.
Okay, that's a great question because I like skipped a whole chapter. You just reminded me. When we have these conversations, we, put the little camera on and the questions come out. I think it's really important to share some of the things that are kind of stuck in the back there. When my dad was a firefighter, he transitioned from being a firefighter and a go-getter into the financial industry. So
Oh,
that was so many years ago. And so he worked for a company where he was one of the top regional vice presidents in the company and moved up very quickly in that company. But his dedication and his courage and his bold moves, and that's my podcast, Big Bold Moves, right? His dedication to do that taught him a whole foreign industry, which is
mm,
finance. So he was in an insurance industry, an investment industry, mortgage industry. So of course, you get seeds from that, right? And
yep.
because we had some resources at a younger age, we learned, me, before I even met my husband, some of the strategies, the rule of 72, compound interest, how to live debt free. You obviously make more than what you spend, like all these different principles. So when that was something that was ingrained in me, I actually, when I turned 18, decided to work with him for a short time. And I took my insurance license. And, I have some learning disabilities. I'm dyslexic. So reading is not easy for me. And again,
Ah,
back in the day, you can't pick up the computer and have it talk to you in your ear. You had to find other means to do that. So I took my
mhm.
insurance test, and I'll tell you this, 7 times before I passed. Ah, it was
This is a hard
awful.
test.
It is a hard test, but you know what? I just kept persevering, and it's like,
Yeah.
I did it pass this time, but there's always a next time. So
I think
got
I
my
studied for
insurance
6 months
test.
because I was so nervous to take it myself. So, I mean,
It's like
it's daunting to be able to take. I was like,
grueling.
I'm never gonna pass this thing. The numbers, like,
Yes. Yeah, it's
congrats for you
crazy.
just pressing forward
Yep.
on that.
Right. Oh, for sure. And so then having that education, once now I have a family, we set our kids up for incredible success. We put them in funds, their college accounts. The 4 children all had college accounts, and we were instrumental and very strategic with them. One of, or the boys actually, they both went to the same university. They were on the football team. They were at USF, Gold Bulls or whatever that little sign is. Whatever they do. I don't want to do the wrong gang sign or something,
Right,
but
right. Yeah.
go Bulls. And so in Southwest Florida, they lived on campus for the first semester. And my husband and I looked at each other and were like, you know how much money we're throwing towards their room and board? So we bought a condo, threw them in the condo. This is a funny story. When our kids we had a home big enough they could all have their own bedrooms. We have 2 boys and 2 girls. And so they shared a bedroom. And I thought, this is going to teach them how to be able to get along with people, right? So when they went to college, other than the fact that they lived in the dorms for that first semester, and they were different years, they weren't the same age, they moved into the same condo, but they shared a bedroom and we
No
rented
way.
out the second bedroom. So can you believe your parents would do that to you? So I told them, I said, this is going to make your life easy. You're right next to the gym where you're playing football every day, but we're going to use it as an investment. And because it was a college expense, we were able to use those 529s to pay their rent. So that kind
Nice.
of was a
Yeah.
really cool strategy. And that's what we talk about. So fast forward from there, setting them up for that success, they had no debt, like no college debt, no wedding debt because of the funds that
Oh,
we put into
yes.
place for them,
Yeah.
setting them up for that success as newly married companies. All 4 of our kids, the oldest is 31. All 4 of them own homes. My son, my oldest, is on his second home. He lives on a farm with 5 acres and has a very successful business. So that's his second home. Our second son is buying his second home. First
Yay.
one will be an investment. Second will be his new home, 5 houses away from where he lives now. And he's closing in 2 days. And then our third daughter, she's on her third home. Our third is a daughter. And then our fourth is on her first home. They live in their own first home. So to see them at such young ages owning homes and, having no debt, which is great. I mean, some of them have had a little bump in the road, like somebody had to get a new car because theirs died. But it's so heartwarming and brought me to where I am today.
Hmm.
Once I was introduced just a few years ago to this opportunity to help others get out of debt, I think I know my stuff. Am I a financial advisor? No. Am I an attorney? No. Am I an accountant? No. But I've got the experience, I've got the tools, and I've got the ability to be compassionate in a space that's not always warm and fuzzy when you have, creditors and debitors, blowing up your phone or knocking your door
100%.
down trying to get to you because you owe them X amount of dollars. So
100%. And
it's
it
really
says that very biblically too, like a millstone around your neck to owe other people. You become a slave to your debt. Like a lot of terrible things about debt. And it's so praised in our world right now to be like, cool, just get a credit card. It's every other commercial on TV. And it's like, why
Mhm.
not? I went to check out somewhere and it was like, get a so and so account for 4 payments of $20. I was like, if I can't afford $8, I shouldn't be buying whatever I was buying in the first place. Like, just so easy to have yourself tied to that system. So I'm so excited for you that you were able to instill that in your kids. Tell me, you're doing so many fun things, and you're incredibly impacting so many people's lives. But it's still a lot of work because you have to keep fresh on everything that's happening, and you're putting your time, effort, and energy into all these clients that you have. Why do you keep showing up? Why do you keep doing what you do?
Well, I think it's because I love it. They say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, right? And, if you're doing what you're honestly and earnestly created to do, I think it's no big deal. Like you want to show up because you know that, or you hope that your ability to step forward and to put yourself out there is going to help somebody else in their life. And
Yeah.
I do help and volunteer at a nonprofit, and it's a home for girls that are with children. Either they've lost their children, they've been in think of the worst of the worst. These poor girls, they walk through the door with the shirt off their back, maybe a baby and, a little girl in boys' clothes because they have nothing. Maybe it's been, human trafficking, maybe it's abuse for alcohol or drugs. And they come through this door. And the unique part of it is they're able to live and recover with their children as
Mm,
opposed to losing their children. And if they
yeah.
lost their children, we do so much to try to get them back because there's nothing better than having a reunified relationship with your baby. If you've lost your baby, it does so much for the mom and the baby, of course,
Yeah.
right? And the one thing that happened when I first got introduced to this nonprofit here in Sarasota was talking to the director and saying, I really can't relate to what these girls have gone through. Like, how could I be of service to them? And she looked me square in the eye and she said, if you can offer them a glimmer of hope, you qualify. I mean, there's so
Uh,
much more to it than that, but that's the bottom line. I look at so many people who say, I don't have the resources to donate to a certain cause, or I don't have the ability because I'm too busy, or whatever it is. But I want to encourage people, look at what your skills are, look at what your gifts are. And if you can do something to help
yeah.
somebody else have hope, just talk to a client that's in a really rough way. And she's like, oh, I don't even know if it's worth it. Of course it's worth it. This isn't defining you. It's a situation that you've been in, but I want to give you hope. There are so
Uh,
many things that can happen in a positive way, but you have to, they say it starts right here, right? Between the 6 inches between our ears. If you're not willing to change your perception, it's going to stay the same. You
mm,
feed what you get more of what you feed, and you feed more of what you get. So you've got to
yeah.
really be consistent with your mind first. Get that
Oh,
hope.
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
cool. At this point, people are thinking, I want to follow you. I want to know what you're up to. And like, I want to know you more. Like, what's your favorite way for people to come find you?
So working on a new website. There's a website out there, but we're just revamping the whole thing because with what I do, I have many tools, like I said, that I can offer. I do some coaching with finances. I offer a really great algorithm that can help you get out of debt for half the time to a third of the time for half of what you owe or a third of what you owe. It's pretty phenomenal. And then, of course, we've got some hardship programs that are available too. So my website talks about all of that, and that's www.fearlessly-debtfree.com. There's also a place to click a button for a free discovery call if you want an analysis, which is free. I say it's right now, it's free. It's worth $250, but I'm doing them for free right now as a gift. And then there's also a way to communicate if you want to just ask questions or see if you want to do a little coffee chat to find out what I can do to help you and how I can direct you. So that's a really easy way to find everything right at that website. Of course, social media. I can't believe how involved I am in social media, which
It's
I
great.
just never thought so. But there's opportunities to be a guest on my podcast, which is called Big Bold Moves Abundant Life. To listen into, there's some really great guests. Wink, wink, Tiffany. And then there's also Fearlessly Debt Free, which is another podcast that talks all about your financial endeavors and things that you can do to be your financially best.
I love that. I love that. All right. I only have time for two more questions left. What's next? Like, what's on the horizon for you?
So, big health journey. Yes. So, within everything else I'm doing, I've decided to take a really big step at being a health and fitness instructor for all these years. You just get to a certain age. I know we talked about this briefly, but your hormones are not
Mm,
happy, but
yeah.
there's definitely things that you can do. So, I'm on a big quest to get my gut fixed because when
Ooh.
gut health is happy, everything else is happy. So, I'm doing on my personal Facebook page, I'm doing a journey so people can follow along. And you might think like, oh yeah, who really cares? I don't really care who cares, but I'm doing it to keep myself accountable.
Yeah.
And if people want to follow along, that's great. And if not, that's okay too. But it's been really fun to know that I've been in this industry for so many years, but I didn't know the balance of the omega 6, omega 3, how
Oh, yeah.
important it is,
Right.
and how it impacts so many other parts of our body. So I'm
Mm.
doing that now, and it's been very promising. And so that's what's next. That's what's, do all that I do already. Pick up my grandbabies and swing them around and have fun and laughs. And we have Disney passes too. So we go to
Oh,
Disney
yeah,
a
you can't
lot.
help that. Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
know.
Especially
That's
in Central Florida. It's such a nice
it's
thing.
like
You go on the days when
you
no one
just
else goes.
yeah, an hour and a half, and
Um,
that's the whole thing. You got like have a criteria. If this, and this, I'll go. But if not
yeah,
this, I'll stay home. Yeah,
I
but
love
it's
it.
great. So much
All right,
fun.
this is my last question for you.
Okay.
What do we wrap up with? What do we want to leave everybody? Like your little nuggets of wisdom that we can leave people with today.
So I just had this conversation earlier today, and I want to leave this nugget because it was so impactful to me. And that is, they say the years, the days are long, but the years are short, right? We hear that
Hmm.
cliche all the time. But recently, well, not recently, not too far long ago that I heard this, it's kind of stuck with me, but I said it earlier. And that is if you look at your life to know, am I doing what I need to do to live the best life that I possibly can? Think about your summers, your holidays, your birthdays. Think about how many more of those you might potentially have.
Hmm.
So, how many more summers do I have? How many more Christmases do I have? And I think that puts it into a different perspective because you think, oh my God, I got 20 more years. Well, 20 more years, you got 20 more summers. And it's like,
Right.
holy moly, if that is definitely an eye opener. So living your best life is so important and you're in charge. Like you have the ability to make changes. Could they be hard? Absolutely. But if you're not waking up every morning and living in a life that's bringing you joy, do you have problems or challenges? Absolutely. But how are you addressing them? Are you
Hmm.
taking the time to think about the 4, 5 things that you're grateful for in the morning and grateful for at night before you put your head on the pillow?
Oh, yeah.
Try it. Yeah, try it. If you don't do it, you should do it because it does make a shift. And that's what
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all about. Live
I
your
love
best
this
life.
advice. It's so good. I agree with you so much. Uh, hey, I'm so grateful for your time that we got to actually make this happen and we're going to publish it. Guys, if you don't know, it's middle of 2026 right now. And you can bet your cookies that you're going to be following Lisa-Marie on all her social media because this is just the beginning. She is never going to stop like me. And so you're going to get tons of golden nuggets of wisdom from her and be able to follow along on her Facebook posts so that way you can do all the things that she's doing too with her health and with living debt free. And I thank you guys for staying this long to come hang out on the show. And I look forward to seeing you on another episode. And everybody go have a wonderful day. Bye.